Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow dregs of society. Welcome, all you rock dwellers. And also welcome, all you hateful, racist people who celebrate the president. Welcome once again to the Conservative Commandos radio show. And joining me as my co-host today is the Doctor for the Republic, and I gave him that name, Dr. Wright. Dr. Nasir Shaikh. Nasir, welcome back to Conservative Commandos.
Hey, Rick, how are you doing? Let's get it all started once again. But it's just another great day to be alive and well and free and living in the United States of America, the greatest country in the history of the world. You've got the symbol of that behind you. I've got the symbol behind me. I've got one tied around my neck as well. And let's just get into it, Rick.
All right. Well, Nasir, it used to be Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. Remember that? The Brady
Right.
Bunch, Marsha, Marsha, Marsha. Then it was Russia, Russia, Russia. And now it's the Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. And what about Latvia, Latvia, Latvia?
Well, I figured, you know what, it's going to be one of the other provinces out there in Latvia. You know, if it's not Russia, it's going to be, Moldova, or who knows what it's going to be next. I mean, this is just incredible. It's like 3 years of, like I said, this Russiagate thrown upon us.
Yes.
And everybody out there in the mainstream media, what I call the Democratic State Party controlled media, all those out at LSD or MSDNC, whatever you want to call them, they lost 50% of their viewership. And now all of a sudden, this whole thing with Ukraine pops up, where this is, if you could get the Democratic Party into a room with a psychiatrist, this is classic deflection. I mean, what they accuse you of is exactly the same thing that these guys are doing. Not in back of you, but right now in front of you. Mm-hmm. If they call you a racist, guess what? They're the racist. If they're saying something's happening in Ukraine on our side, it's not happening on our side. It's happening on their side. And I think I put this out on my Twitter feed. I just said, you know what? Could it be that whoever this Q is, Q Anonymous, supposedly somebody.
Yeah, who is this Q? Well, people have been asking me about Q, and I have no idea.
Well, I think basically it's either a person or persons within the administration that have President Trump's back and throw these things out there. And I was just saying, couldn't it be something that if this was actually something that the Trump administration or somebody within said, you know what, let's say that this was a whistleblower and throw this thing out at the Ukraine thing again, because guess what? We have to reignite this story because the New York Times did this a few months ago, but nobody really said anything about the Biden part of it and Beau and Hunter, his sons. And so I said, if that's it, remember on I think it was Seinfeld, where they say, well played. I would say, well played, President Trump. Well played.
Well, I don't know, but it's, Nasir, we've talked about it a lot, and I guess we're going to continue to talk about it because it is important. That side, the left side, the liberal side, the Democrat side, and I didn't mispronounce it. I call them the Democrats. The Democrat side are going to do everything. They're going to do everything to shoot down the president. Okay? Maybe even literally someday. I hope not.
Oh, my God.
I think
look what Bill Weld said. He said this was treason. This is the guy that's going to be running against, in the primaries against the president. Bill Weld, the former governor or whatever of Massachusetts. And what did he say? That this rises to the level of treason. And what is the final thing that happens if you commit treason?
Well, what's treason?
Death?
The fact that the president of the United States is calling into question that the former vice president's sons benefited from a deal. And why? Not because they're Hunter or Beau or whatever their first name is, because the last name is Biden. Yes. The last name is Biden. So if there was corruption, if there was some kind of a quid pro quo, somebody should be looking into it. Because if you did it or if I did it, we go to jail.
Oh, so absolutely.
If there's something that one of the Biden boys did, and I know one of them is gone, and God bless his soul. But if there's something that the other Biden boy did to enrich himself, or if there's something that Joe Biden did to enrich his sons, we need to find out about it. We need to find out about it because that is a violation of the law. But you know, the left is good at this. Nasser, look, Bill and Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Okay, Bill Clinton getting $500,000 to make one speech in Moscow. Who the hell in Moscow wants to hear Bill Clinton enough that they're going to put up that kind of money? Oh, well, gee, quid pro quo, just about at the same time. Hillary Clinton is selling 20% of our uranium reserves to Russia. At the same time, donations are coming into the Clinton Foundation from Russia. So,
exactly.
You know, the other thing, and I keep saying this, and thank God some other people are starting to talk about it now. If there was collusion, if Russia was colluding to interfere in our election in 2016, who the hell was the president in 2016? It wasn't Donald Trump. It was Barack Obama. Where the hell is where is the investigation?
Oh,
why didn't Barack Obama stop it? Why didn't Barack Obama do something? Why didn't Barack Obama let the candidates know, including Donald Trump? Why didn't he let Donald Trump know the Russians were trying to interfere in our election?
Well,
why wasn't he out there saying, yo, people, the Russians are trying to steal your vote. Don't let them. Why wasn't he doing? Well, my thing is because he thought Hillary Clinton was going to win.
And let's face it, Rick, this whole thing has been such a, look, Facebook ads, they put a couple of $100,000 in Facebook ads and they're saying that there was collusion. I mean, even President Obama from the Rose Garden, when he was talking about that time early on in the election period, and, you know, President Trump was saying things like about that there might be this going on. And what did, with the little wag of the finger saying, hey, listen, man up, right? Isn't that what he told the president, candidate Trump at that time?
Yeah.
Quit whining, go out there and try to win the election. Don't whine about these other things. And here's another thing, Rick. Suppose I told you that one of the sons of a candidate took $500,000 from Russia.
Mm-hmm.
That one of the sons of a candidate got $1.5 billion from a Russian bank to start a real estate company. What do you think would have happened if these were Eric or Don Trump or Ivanka or President Trump had taken some money? I mean, remember they were going after him because he had been talking with Paul Manafort about building a hotel in Russia, as if that's illegal to do before he was even running for president.
He's a private citizen.
But you know what? Guess what? That's impeachable. That's an impeachable offense. You tried to build some real estate in Russia. You tried to build a hotel there. I mean, it's just crazy. It really is.
And the other thing, Nasser, let's say that President Trump did have a conversation with the Prime Minister of the Ukraine.
So freaking what is what I say?
So what? Isn't that what presidents are supposed to do?
Without Rick having somebody overseeing you and taking every word that you have and then putting it out there for the public consumption. How do you dictate national security? Who can you trust now? I mean, this is just, they never did this before. This never happened with Bush or with Obama or Clinton. How many times I can't remember of anything ever even close to this coming out. That's how General Flynn was outed. And that, I think, was a freaking sham as well.
Right. No, you're totally right. Hey, boy, does time fly when you're having fun. But Nasser, we do need to take a break. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic. And that's Dr. Nasir Shaikh. And Yours truly, Rick Trader, has got a little thing in his throat going on here. And don't go away. We'll be back after this break. But today's show, like all our shows, is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the what? The Second Amendment. We've got some great guests joining us here. And on the other side, Nasir will tell you who they are and the topics for our conversations. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And by the way, if you'd like to suggest a guest for us, it's easy to do. Just send an email to me. It's rick at conservativecommandosradioshow.com. I know it's long, but it's easy. Just look back there. It's rick at conservativecommandosradioshow.com. Or maybe you would like to be a guest. Maybe you're a writer or an author and you'd like to join us. That would be great. Again, it's rick at conservativecommandosradioshow.com. And Nasir, speaking of guests, as we always do, we have three fantastic guests joining us today.
We do. Our first guest is going to be Cheryl Chumley. She's the online editor at the Washington Times, and she wrote an article, Big Business Helps Keep America Free. We're also going to have Tom Gresham, who's a spokesperson for the Second Amendment Foundation, and he's going to be talking about an issue which is dear and dear to our hearts here at Conservative Commandos Radio Show, which is the Second Amendment. And it's really a topic in terms of the war against gun rights has really, really gone nuclear. And finally, we're going to be speaking with former Congressman John Hostettler. He served in the House, the U.S. House of Representatives from 1995 to 2007. He represented Indiana's 8th Congressional District. And his article, which appears in the Washington Examiner, is about human trafficking is the real border crisis.
All right. So again, indeed, we do have a great show lined up for our audience. Well, Nasir, our president, Donald Trump, made a speech at the UN, and I think he told it the way it is.
He absolutely did. He talked once again about how people should love their country. That's the leaders of each and every country should actually be for the people in that country. And there is nothing wrong with that. That nationalism is not a bad word. That every country has its sovereignty, and its sovereign duty is to protect the people of that country first and foremost. And he basically told everybody out there, the elitists and the globalists, your time is up, at least as far as the United States is concerned. And he basically said that in terms of going after, the state of Iran and what they're doing out there, I mean, with their drone attacks on the Saudi Arabian oil fields, you want to talk about a country that has got the power and has got the industrial complex and the greatest military and the greatest fighting force of men and women ever assembled in the history of the world, that much power, and how restrained this country is. Because if it had been any other country, who knows what would have happened? We know who the culprits are. We know what they did. This was an act of war. You attacked another sovereign country, an ally of ours in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia. And you know what? That's part of what he was talking about. I mean, the greatness of America, the greatness of being sovereign, but guess what? Globalism and a one world order, that is not the way to go.
No, in fact, the left don't like it. In fact, Nancy Pelosi, someone who said that impeachment was not on the table, now she's jumping on board, Nasir.
Absolutely.
She's jumping on board this impeachment train. And I wonder at this point, Nasir, if the dog isn't wagging, the tail is not wagging the dog. Then Nancy Pelosi is just following what the other big mouths on the Democrat side is saying.
I think the whip count is up to 158 members that she has. And there's going to be, you're going to have some never Trumpers that are in the Congress that are probably going to, go over to her side as well. But yeah, this is just my opinion. And I think that this is, you want to whip, I mean, if 90% of the Republicans are for this president right now, I can't think of something else where are the other 10% is where I wanted.
Well, Nasir, I think, this
is what we need. Yes.
Just as impeachment didn't hurt Bill Clinton. In fact, it actually helped him.
Absolutely.
I think the same thing is going to work for Donald Trump.
1,000-fold.
I think it's going to help to rally his base.
Yes.
I really do. So I say bring it on. Bring on the impeachment, Nancy.
I can't wait.
Bring it on. Bring on the impeachment. Let the Democrats show what idiots they are. Let's see. Let America see, just like during the Kavanaugh hearings. America saw what the left really was like. I think that Kavanaugh helped Donald Trump. I think Kavanaugh helped Donald Trump gain seats in the Senate, hold the Senate, right? Because the people saw how important the Senate races were. Wow. These are the people that are judging the possible justice of the Supreme Court. I think it helped. I really do think it helped them. I think that without the Kavanaugh hearings, maybe the Senate might have also flipped to the Democrat side. Thank God it did. Well, I think that the American people are going to look at this, they're going to hear this, and they're going to say, oh, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. Why are they wasting their time? Why aren't they working on real issues? Real issues. And the other thing, Nasir, that side has nothing, zero to run on. They
Absolutely.
don't. They want to destroy. They want to destroy it. They want to destroy this administration. They want to destroy our economy for what? So they can take over. So
Absolutely.
they can take. So they can run our economy into the ground. Liz Warren tweeted this. She tweeted this right after that stupid climate change summit that they had on CNN for 7 hours. She said this: on my first day as president, I will sign an executive order that puts a total moratorium on all new fossil fuel leases for drilling offshore in the public lands and will ban fracking. My gosh, Nasir, can you imagine what that is going to do to our economy? You know, for years, we said we would never be an oil exporting nation again. And now we are. We are the biggest exporter of energy. They just signed a deal, a $2 billion deal with India, for India to invest in our natural gas and also to buy our natural gas. India, 50% of the India gets its electricity from burning coal. The Prime Minister of India, Modi, wants to replace a large percent of that burning coal, which the left will tell you is dirty as hell, want to replace it with clean burning natural gas. And where are they going to get that gas? From the good old USA. But no, the Democrat side wants to stop it. They want to kill our economy. They want to cut off our oil production. It's really criminal what they want to do. American people don't buy it.
And you know what, Rick? Just real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's amazing. You know, we sometimes talk about the low information voter or the no information voter.
Yeah.
I've gone out to dinner parties with friends and colleagues of mine, and it's amazing sometimes when you tell them that, have you just seen the Green New Deal? And then when you tell them what's in the Green New Deal, they look at me and say, come on, Nasir, don't be, that's not what they're doing. I said, do you ever go on the internet? Do you ever see what's happening? So it's just not, it's amazing how people just are not, still some of them are not tuned in to what the Democrats, and I know you used to call them the Democrats.
Yeah.
Whenever I use the Democrats,
But they are.
I replace it with three Ks in the middle.
All right. Well, whatever. You say tomato, I say tomato. In the end, they're a disaster for
They're
America.
absolutely
They really
disastrous.
are. Hey, Cheryl, I called you Cheryl. I meant to call you Nasir.
Well, I
But
could be. I don't know.
Cheryl
I'm gender
Chumley.
fluid today. Who knows?
I have Cheryl Chumley on mine, and she is the online opinion editor for the Washington Times. She's written a really great article, Big Business Keeps America Free. And she'll be back to talk about her article right after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and of course yours truly, Rick Trader. And with that, Nasir, we do have our first guest with us. Please make her feel welcome.
Thank you, Rick. We have Cheryl Chumley, who's the online opinion editor for the Washington Times. She's also the author of The Devil in D.C., Winning Back the Country from the Beast in Washington, and also Police State USA, How Orwell's Nightmare is Becoming Our Reality. Cheryl, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Nasir. Nice to chat again, Rick.
Good. Well, we wanted to talk to you about your article that you wrote in the Washington Times about big business helps keep America free. You know, this is one of those things where you would hope that the American voting public, even as you mentioned, sometimes there's low information or no information voters. It is very easy for people that have a lot of money, that have a lot of power, to basically start, and this is what I say, the alt-left, the mainstream, the Democratic State Party controlled media, and people even in academia and whatever, they sort of feign this, a kinsmanship, so to speak, okay, with the poor and the unfortunate. And I think it's the guilt that they want to get rid of. You talk about Senator Elizabeth Warren made an entire political career out of denouncing big business, Wall Street, big pharma, and of late she's going after big tech. I mean, anything that's making big money, Warren and all of her acolytes in the Democratic Party are going after. But that wasn't so before when she was working for the big law firms, correct?
Well, nobody goes after big money until they're a politician, it seems like. Bernie Sanders just came out with a 2% wealthy tax. And, what's disheartening, though, to we in the patriotic camp, like your listeners, I'm sure, is that the millennials, the younger generations, are buying into this, and this is going to substantially change the shape of America's politics and economy. And I think once you go socialism, it's really hard to turn back to freedom.
Well, you're absolutely correct in that. And it's the leftists, it's the Democrats. Those are the ones it's their policies. It's like with President Obama before, you didn't build that. Or when he said to Joe the plumber, we got to spread the wealth around. One of the things we were talking about, Michael Moore, you say that the Hollywood propagandist. I mean, that's one thing that I always noticed about him. Every time he came on any show, everybody else comes out on the Tonight Show or these other shows, and a lot of these actors and actresses, they're wearing the latest outfits. They have a 3-piece suit on or a designer this and that. Michael Moore comes on these programs like he just stepped out of a sanctuary city tent, And,
yeah, he dressed like a hobo. Yeah,
absolutely. And the reason is because, see, it works, right? Because then it's I'm a man of the people, even though you're a multimillionaire. I mean, Bernie Sanders did this. He was talking about millionaires and billionaires, and all of a sudden, when everybody found out that he was a millionaire, he dropped the millionaire routine and just said going after billionaires.
When his book hit bestseller status, and come to find out he was raking in big bucks from his books, which I don't condemn him for doing. More power to him. But the thing is, when you're going to be a hypocrite about it, when you're going to rake in the big bucks from your book sales, but turn around and tell every other would-be entrepreneur out there that they don't have the right to their millions, that's when you're starting to walk into territory that you don't belong. And, like this article points out, it's big business is being demonized right now. But if you look beyond the shroud, what big business actually provides for this country, they do quite a bit at keeping America safe in terms of all the dollars they donate to charity. And every dollar that goes to charity is a dollar that big government doesn't have to step in and provide.
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely correct. I mean, for example, one of the things that you had in your article, you wrote that this is what Elizabeth Warren's tweeting and talking about. And this is what the left always does. They demonize the money. And for us conservatives, those of us on the right, I don't care whether the Walmart heir makes $4 million an hour or the new Walmart associate. Now, she basically said he's making $4 million an hour. The Walmart associate is making $11 an hour. But the idea is that Walmart is providing jobs. And then also, why don't you let us know in your article, you talked about some of the money that these people are giving. Talk about some of the millions, not just, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but some of the millions of dollars that Walmart is giving in terms of its charitable donations.
Yeah, let's look at Walmart first, because for a while there, Walmart was the corporation that the left absolutely loved to denounce. And Walmart just recently, in the last few weeks, gave $500,000 for Hurricane Dorian, which is a drop in the bucket to what they give. The the Red Cross has reported that since 2007, Walmart has given $35 million for disaster relief. $35 million. Plus, on top of that, they've held another 500,000 blood drives, and where they've raked in tons of people to donate blood. I mean, that's just Walmart alone. You look at what other companies do. Disney gave $315 million last year alone to women and children in need, or families and children in need. $315 million. I mean, that's you just take away one of the agencies at the federal level and think of all the money the taxpayers could save if we just relied on big businesses to do some of the charitable endeavors in this country. Those two companies are just drops in the bucket for everyone from CBS, GE, to Google, McAfee, hundreds and hundreds of big businesses out there just donating millions of dollars to private, nonprofit charities in this country.
You're so right. And one of the other things that I'd like to ask you is that when Warren talks about her 2-cent wealth tax on families that would help level the playing field, a lot of times people have sort of there's always this debate, even in America, about whether or not there should be a VAT added, go to the flat tax and add a value added tax and, get rid of the income tax and everybody will be paying taxes, even the people, that aren't, because they're going to get money from there. The problem I have with some of these solutions is that, if you look at it and you say, look, if you're going to take a penny out of every dollar, I don't think there's any American out there, or 2 cents out of every dollar, to say we're going to help the poor and the needy. But the problem with that, Cheryl, is that where does it stop? I mean, when you give power to the government, who's the government? Those are people just like, well, I don't know if they're just, maybe that's things. It's people usually just like us, but something happens when you go drink the water in Washington, D.C. It's, you start to change. But what's to prevent them from saying, you know what, that's just 2 cents right now. How about the next time I'll add another 2 cents onto it? You see where I'm going with this?
Well, absolutely. That's one of the problems. Look at the 16th Amendment, the whole income tax and so forth, that, was supposed to be just temporary. Our nation was never supposed to have an income tax, according to founding fathers anyhow. But here we are. An income tax is just part of who we are now. And the government loves to tax and fee things. They call it a fee when they don't want to call it a tax because they're running for election. So they call it something else. But the problem is not so much a penny. The problem is the principle. Americans, by and large, are the most charitable people in the world. When a flood happens halfway across the world, who rushes to donate money? Americans. Americans do this even when the economy's bad. If you look at the stats about the millions of dollars that Americans, by their own hearts, just give to those in need, it's astounding. No other nation in the world gives like Americans do. Now put the government in it, and the government taking a penny here, a penny there to spread the wealth. That's just abhorrent. It's anti-American, and it just deflates the spirit of already charitable-minded Americans.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is Cheryl Chumley. She's the online opinion editor at the Washington Times. Cheryl, we need to take a quick break. Could you hold on for just a few moments for us, please?
Sure can.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, and that's Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Don't go away. We'll be right back with more from our guest, Cheryl Chumley of the Washington Times.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Want to give a shout out to the folks who listen to us on stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, and now in Arlington, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., and also seen on the AUN television network in Northern California. Our guest this segment is Cheryl Chumley. She's the online opinion editor for the Washington Times. Cheryl, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time.
Oh, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, we always appreciate you spending your generosity with your time and your knowledge in joining us here. Greta Thunberg, a parent's worst nightmare. Now, Cheryl, I believe you have children. I know Nasir has children, and I think one of the reasons I never have children is because it might turn out to be like me. The child might want to be a political activist. The child might turn out to be like Greta Thunberg. Cheryl Chumley, tell us who Greta is.
Right. She is that teenage Swedish climate change activist who just has set the left on fire with admiration and fawning because of the scolding that she gave the world for not committing to environmental regulations. And, she stood on the UN stage and she wagged her finger at us all and basically chastised us and said, how dare you, for ruining her future, ruining her childhood, and so forth. And I found her performance, and I call it a performance because it was a fake tear performance, as the left likes to do. They put these emotional displays on, and it's so fake looking. They need better actors, I think. But she put on this performance that I found very obnoxious and pretentious. And, here's a girl who's 16 years old telling us all basically how stupid we are on the environment and that it's up to her to save the world. It rings the bell of David Hogue in America on the Second Amendment telling all the adults dropping F-bombs all along the way, how ridiculous and stupid we are about gun rights. And I'm getting a little bit tired of children who know nothing because they're not taught properly either by the schools or their parents, of children being given these world platforms to chastise the rest of us. And when you try to criticize them, because you're allowed to since they're on the world stage, right? They're opening themselves up to criticism. When you criticize them, you get slammed because they're poor children and they ought to be applauded because here they are being bold with their visions and their opinions. Well, I find it obnoxious, and I think that we in the conservative field need to beat this back, even though it puts us right in the target of being hit by the left for hating children.
Well, Cheryl, I don't think it's hating children. How about we do this? We give these kids an education. In other words, we take little Greta and her little friends that she brought over from Sweden with her. We sit them down and we give them a geology, a history lesson about the ice ages. and how in the last 100,000 years there have been 4 major ice ages. Seems to happen every 25,000 years. NASA told us the other day it has to do with the orbit of the Earth more than it does anything that mankind is heating their homes or fueling their car with. And that during these 4 ice ages, there have been sheets of ice that have covered North America all the way down to Princeton, New Jersey. In some places, this ice sheet was 2 miles thick. 2 miles thick, just imagine. And if we're creating climate change now, what were those people driving? How were they heating their homes that melted all that ice? Cheryl, maybe we need to give them children like Greta, that lesson. Maybe instead of going to the United Nations, which I'm sure was a fun class trip, maybe they should be back in schools, and maybe the teachers should be teaching them real things rather than the stuff they're learning now. Shirley, you think I'm onto something, or am I outside the box again?
Well, I agree with you completely. But what I find obnoxious about this is that they don't want to learn. They just want the stage because they feel bad about something. So because they've been taught that their feelings are as important as their abilities to critically think, that means we in the rest of the world have to pay attention to their feelings and listen to them and change if possible. And that's what I don't like. There's no learning going on. And if you suggest learning, then what you're doing is you're the one attacking. You can't suggest that these people are ignorant. And by ignorant, I don't mean stupid. I mean ignorant as the word is defined, that they don't know something. They're unaware of something. And the reason they're ignorant is because the schools and their parents aren't teaching it. And if you and I come along and suggest you need a little more education before you speak out, well, we're the ones that are attacking them. So this is the whole problem, not just with environmentalism, but with Second Amendment. Pick your issue. This is how the left fights. They flip things around and they turn right for wrong and good for evil and so forth. And we who are the sane-minded are left wondering, how come my sane logic isn't working here? Because we're dealing with mad people in a chaotic world, and this is how they want the world run.
Right. You know, Cheryl, you mentioned David Hogue. And of course, David Hogue come out of that Parkland school shooting. It's not even clear that he was there that day or went to that school. But you mentioned David Hogue, and it also reminds me of some time ago, about 25 years ago. There was a little girl. She was about 7 or 8 years old. And it was a big deal that she was trying to fly an airplane across the country, a real airplane. Now, this story turned out to be a disaster because this girl, her father, and the flight instructor who was with them died in a crash. And I remember the last interview that she gave before she took off on the fatal crash. She was asked about, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to fly across the country? And you know what she said? Well, it was actually my dad's idea. And I wonder about children like this. And by the way, 16 years old. I know when I was 19, I remember an instance very well when I honestly thought I knew everything. What could I possibly learn the rest of my life when I was 19 years old? And 50 years later, I know now. I knew nothing. The problem with these kids, I think, Cheryl, is they're pushed into things by others, a lot of times their parents. And the other thing is, as you say, they're ignorant. They have lack of knowledge as to what they don't know.
I agree with you completely that these kids are pushed into it. If Greta were 8 years old, which, by the way, there were a team of young kids who petitioned 5 countries at that filed a formal complaint with the United Nations over the failure of 5 nations to abide environmental regulations. And some of those kids were as young as age 8. Now, if Greta were on the stage at the UN and she was 8 years old, I wouldn't have written a piece about Greta. I would have written it about Greta's parents. But at age 16, you know things. You're old enough to make your own decisions, and you're old enough to have an awareness of the performance that you're putting on. So I agree that the parents, the left, the political forces that are unseen and so forth behind the scenes push these kids into doing this. But there comes a time where if they're going to stand up and be the ones pointing the fingers, then they have to be able to take the heat as well. And if they're 16, then they're certainly old enough to take that heat.
Well, I believe if they put themselves on the world stage, they and their parents know that there should be some heat. But I think you're giving her a little bit more credit than I do. But Cheryl, you have a very interesting point here. Thornburg said in a widely reported statement, quote, the climate crisis is not just the weather. It means also lack of food and lack of water, places that are unavailable, and refugees because of it. It is scary. Well, again, Cheryl, I want to bring you back to little Greta needs to be in school, because if she was there, maybe she should learn that the solution to starvation, to poor and dirty water, to poverty is actually cheap energy. Cheap energy is the solution to those things. Not limiting the use and access to that energy. Cheryl Chumley, I'll give you the last minute or so on that.
Well, you raised a good point, and I would just like to add to that in 2014, in my first book, Police State USA, I wrote about how John Kerry and the State Department and the leftists and Democrats, not just in America but around the world, were going to push climate change and the environment as cause of poverty, as cause of wars, of famine, of agricultural disasters, and so forth. And here we are. Fast forward just a few years, here we are discussing these issues as if it were true, as if environmentalism and climate change were the cause of everything that happens in the world. And this is a serious problem, and Greta said something right. It is scary, not for the reasons she meant, but if you're a patriotic American, a conservative, limited government type of person, this is scary stuff.
It sure is. Cheryl Chumley, online opinion editor at the Washington Times. We want to thank you for joining us here on Conservative Commandos. Please tell our audience how they can follow your work and read your articles.
Oh, well, thank you, Rick, and thanks, Nasir. I'm on Twitter I'm on Twitter at CK Chumley, or find me on the Washington Times or on my website, CherylChumley.com.
All right, Cheryl Chumley. Again, thank you for being with us. Take care and God bless.
Thanks, guys. God bless.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be talking about the war against gun rights has gone nuclear. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And for rebroadcast of our show, the best place to go is our website, www.ccrshow.com, www.ccrshow.com. You'll find links to rebroadcast of our radio show and our television show, as well as a lot of terrific articles and great information. And Nasir, our next guest is with us, and as you always do with all our guests, please make them feel welcome.
Thank you, Rick. We have Tom Gresham, who is a spokesman for the Second Amendment Foundation. He's also a leading innovator in outdoor media. He's an author, a magazine editor, and a writer for such publications as Sports Afield, Alaska, Guns and Ammo, Rifle, Handloader. Are you getting the picture here? He's also a television host, director, radio host. Tom, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thank you, Nasir. Yeah, mostly I spend my time doing radio these days.
Oh, that's good. Well, since we have you on there and you're the expert here, I guess we're going to be discussing the war against gun rights has gone nuclear. And one of the things I have to say is it used to be before, I think even during the previous 8-year administration under Barack Obama, that you would hear Democrats and even leftists and liberals, they were sort of still in the closet, wouldn't come right out and say it. They wouldn't, you know, they were, there was subterfuge, there was deception, there was obfuscation, but Beto O'Rourke literally basically just, you know, ripped the Band-Aid off. I mean, it wasn't even, it just went whoosh, and basically said, hell yeah, we're coming for your guns. And you write very, you talk very eloquently on this. So give us an idea. We all knew that this is what was happening, but it took Beto O'Rourke basically, like I said, to rip that Band-Aid off. I think that was just the greatest thing that happened, because now everybody knows what the left really wants, and that's to take away our Second Amendment rights and our guns.
You're exactly right, Nasir. You know, I've been covering this for 50 years, and the gun ban forces occasionally would come out and say what they really thought. They would say, we actually really do want to get all the guns. But then they'd run back and say, oh, don't say that. When Beto O'Rourke said that out loud, and more than that, not just him saying it, but nobody else on that podium, nobody else on that stage called it back and said, oh, no, we're not going to confiscate guns. They were all there. I mean, the audience was clapping. We're going to come for your guns. We're going to confiscate your guns, your semi-automatic firearms, the kind that have been made for 100 years, the kind that President Teddy Roosevelt used for hunting. We're going to come and take them away from you. There's 100 million gun owners. There may be 20, 30, 40 million of these rifles they're talking about. Now, I don't know how they're going to do that, but it's going to, it defies imagination.
Well, can you give us an idea about the guns? I mean, in terms of what an AR-15 and AK-47, when they talk about these as assault rifles, these really aren't assault rifles, correct? I mean, that's just the name that's been assigned to them.
Look, the guy who came up with the word assault weapon, he was very clear about it. This is like 30 years ago now. He said, look, the public doesn't know the difference between semi-automatic and full automatic. The military uses full automatic. You hold the trigger down and the gun just shoots. Well, semi-automatic, when you pull the trigger once, the gun goes bang once. He said, but we can take advantage of that. We will come up with this phony term called assault weapon, and we can confuse people. And if you ask a lot of people who don't know much about guns, what is an assault weapon? They'll say, oh, it's a machine gun. Not, never has been, not a military gun, certainly not a weapon of war. In fact, I will tell you, more than 50 years ago, when I went on my very first deer hunt at the age of 11, I used a semi-automatic deer rifle that's actually quite a bit more powerful than an AR-15. Millions of people hunt with semi-automatic firearms all the time, although hunting is not what the Second Amendment is about. Now, you're exactly right, Asher. This is phony. It's disingenuous. But at least, and you're right, at least they have come out and said what they really want. All along, they wanted to take away all the guns. Point in fact, the bill that's been introduced into Congress that they're calling an assault weapon bill, when you actually read the description, it bans all semi-automatic rifles, handguns, and shotguns. Rifles, handguns, and shotguns. So forget the whole deal about AR-15s. They're after all of them.
Oh, they certainly are. They certainly are. Tom, I've got a question to ask you, and that is, every time you hear one of these politicians, even sometimes from those on the Republican side, but definitely from those on the, on the left, you always hear that, and I'd like to know about this, if this polling is true. I confess I haven't really gone in depth in this, but they always talk about that 90% of Americans are now for background checks, and that a huge majority are also for these red flag laws. Right. What are the latest polls on that? Because I find that sort of like the same statistic that the left uses, that 97% of all scientists have a consensus that there's global warming or global cooling or climate change is out there. So could you give us what the polling is showing on that?
The issue is how the question is worded. First of all, you have to start off with the understanding that we already have extensive background checks. We have national background checks. We have required background checks. If you go to a gun store or if you buy from a dealer, even at a gun show, you're required to do a background check with the FBI. Every single gun purchase has to be approved by the FBI. So when a pollster says, do you approve of background checks, without being specific, people will go, well, yeah, I mean, that's what I've been doing. We've had that for decades now. But the real question is, do you approve of making it a crime to loan your gun to your neighbor to go pheasant hunting for the weekend? Because that's what the universal background check does. It makes it illegal to loan a gun to your neighbor. If your neighbor, this lady, is being assaulted, if she is the victim of domestic violence and she needs a gun to protect herself for the weekend until she can get to the gun store, it would be a crime for you to loan her a firearm to protect her life. If I loaned you a gun, that would be a crime. If you gave it back to me at the end of the weekend, that would be another crime. That's what universal background checks are. And the problem is nobody asks that question when they're doing these polls. So people go, sure, background checks, we've had it for years. I'm in favor. They don't know the difference.
Well, I want to take this now in terms of where it seems also that the way that I think the left, the alt-left, and the complicity of what I call, the Democratic State Party controlled media, that they know that they're not going to win this argument. I think at the ballot box is certainly not going to win it, okay, by shredding the Constitution on the Second Amendment. But I think they're going to go after us in terms of, going after the companies, going after the financial aspect, that if you can tell a company, hey, look, you can't purchase a gun using a credit card and make a law for that. I mean, all these laws are going to be starting to be passed, and I think they're going to end up going up to the Supreme Court. But in the meantime, it's going to, wreak havoc, with our Second Amendment.
Well, you're exactly right. And look, the gun ban lobby is smart. They've made some interesting attempts. First, they tried to sue gun makers out of existence. So they had 30 different cities suing gun makers, claiming that the gun manufacturer is somehow responsible for the misuse of the product. Very much would be like suing Chevrolet for a crime committed by a drunk driver. It makes no sense. Well, Congress finally got involved and said, no, you can't do that. A gun maker is liable if they make a defective product, clearly. But if they make a non-defective product, you can't blame them if somebody misuses it. So they went from that loss to what you're talking about, which is, well, let's see if we can just crush gun manufacturing by driving them out of business, by stripping them of all financial services. So let's see, we'll make sure they can't take credit cards, so gun stores can't take credit cards. We will make sure that gun companies can't get financing. This was done under the Obama administration. It was a program called Operation Choke Point. And it was actually came out of the government. They told lenders, you really don't want to be doing business with those gun companies, because if you do, we're going to have to do an audit, maybe one of those 2 or 3 year long audits at your company. And the banks just went, we're not going to do that. Well, they supposedly ended Operation Choke Point, and now it's taking place on a private basis. And this is where Michael Bloomberg's billions come into the picture, change the game completely. He and his minions are going to financial institutions and saying, you probably really don't want to do this. And if they do it individually, it's not government action, and the government really won't protect us from that. And that's the sinister part of this right now.
Well, it's sort of the same thing that you're seeing right now. I mean, I was just so, disheartened to see that even Walmart capitulated to this. And I guess there was a story out there that I guess a Walmart customer decided to put his gun on and strap, he has a concealed permit and open carry. And I think the story was that they banned him from that store for life because he decided to practice his, Second Amendment rights.
Yes, but. And some gun people don't like this when I say it. There are some open carry jackasses out there. And this guy clearly was. He wanted to make a point by putting his AR on his back and parading around and basically frightening people as a way of making his point. Generally, you don't get the public on your side by frightening them. It's a bad tactic, okay? Walmart did something very interesting. Actually, when you look at it, what they're doing is they're trying to have it both ways. They didn't ban guns. They didn't even ban open carry in their stores. All they said was, we would sure appreciate it if you didn't do that. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Now, if you open carry in there, they're probably going to come up and say, would you please leave? It's still not a crime to be there unless you stay there after you're asked to leave. Now, that would be trespassing. So they're not banning guns. So they're trying to appease the gun ban people without really angering their base, which are the 100 million gun owners out there. I'm not sure they can have it both ways. We'll see what happens, though.
All right.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is Tom Gresham. He's a spokesman for the Second Amendment Foundation. He's an author and a magazine editor and writer. Maybe you saw his works in magazines like Sports Afield, Alaska, Guns and Ammo, Rifle, Handloader, American Hunters, and others. Hey, Tom, we got to take a quick break. Could you hold on for just a few moments for us, please, while we do a little business? And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. We'll be back with more from our guest right after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
And welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Want to give a shout out to folks who listen to us on radio stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder in Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Long Beach, California, Arlington, Virginia, Washington, D.C., and also seen on the AUN television network in Northern California. Our guest this segment is Tom Gresham. He's a spokesman for the Second Amendment Foundation. He's also an author, magazine editor. You know the magazines. I do. Sports Afield, Alaska, Guns and Ammo, Rifles, American Handy, American Hunter. Tom, thank you for holding through that break. We really do appreciate your time.
You bet.
Tom, when we talk about gun confiscation, when we talk about Beto O'Rourke coming out and says, you bet, we're going to come get your guns. Make no mistake about it. Right now, and I invite people to my Facebook page, where I have a little thing up there that says that they think they can take guns from 200 million people, but yet they can't go door to door and remove 20 million people that are here illegally. Tom, this idea that they're going to come and confiscate guns, they're going to start out by saying, oh, it's voluntary, but if you don't make it a voluntary thing, then we are going to come. We're going to come with SWAT teams. We're going to come with police, armored vehicles. And what this reminds me of is the same type of tactics that the IRS uses. Everybody's afraid of the IRS. They don't prosecute everybody who cheats on their taxes, but they prosecute enough to scare the hell out of everybody else. So, Reagan used to say, we're just one generation away from losing our freedoms. I believe we are one election away. Your thoughts?
It's interesting. I host a national radio show called Gun Talk. It's heard all over the country. People call in. I find out what people are thinking. And it's interesting. No one is willing to give up their guns. And some people say, well, that's all bravado. Nobody's going to stand up when they come. Actually, I don't know what the percentage is, 1%, 2%, 3%. But if it's 1%, that's 1 million gun owners who say, I will go down shooting. Literally, I will shoot the people who come to confiscate the guns. 1 million people saying that. If it's only 1%, we don't want to get there. That's a terrible idea. We support law enforcement. We don't want to be shooting law enforcement. That's a chaos. It's awful. But I don't think that the Beto O'Rourke's and the Democrats and the people who support that and all the candidates who are on that stage who nobody pushed back, nobody called them and said, no, we're not going to go door to door and confiscate guns. I don't think any of them have thought about how would this take place. And you're exactly right. The only way for it to happen is to go door to door and to have to go in and search every home, every room and every home. And boy, does that ever call up a lot of historic images for us, doesn't it?
It sure does. Well, Beto O'Rourke, as you and Nasir were not alone in talking about confiscating guns. Kamala Harris, if elected president and you don't surrender your guns, I will sign an executive order and police will show up at your door. That was Kamala Harris. Pete Buttigieg supports a new federal ban on assault-style weapons. And he says, we all know from past experience that the voluntary part is a lie. Cory Booker, old Spartacus himself, when elected, will establish a federal registry of all guns, plus a separate federal registry of all individual gun owners. We are all going on a list. American citizens want to continue to own guns will have to, quote, apply and then reapply every few years. And Tom, there's a governor in New Jersey, Phil Murphy, who wants to bump gun registration from $20 to over $500. Now, they got the power to do that. Scary stuff here, Tom Grisham.
I'm not sure they do have the power to do that. When you start to say you have to pay a license to exercise an enumerated constitutional right, and therein lies the issue. The Second Amendment is a constitutional amendment, just like the First Amendment. So whatever they would want to do to the Second Amendment, to your gun rights, imagine them doing that to the First Amendment, to your free speech. Getting a license, being on a list, having to pay $500 a year to exercise your free speech rights. They would go crazy if you suggested anything like that. And yet they're absolutely okay with trampling on your constitutional rights, which brings us all the way back to the Supreme Court. It's changed a good bit. We have Kavanaugh and Gorsuch. If we get one or two more, then honestly, I think at that point, the Supreme Court can come in and backstop. So when they try to do these kinds of things, or when a state like California requires licensing, registration, waiting periods, on and on, the Supreme Court up to now has kind of not wanted to take that. But if we could get them to look at it, they'll go, wait, you can't license a constitutional right. But then it becomes a privilege. It's either a right or it's a privilege. It can't be both.
Tom, you mentioned earlier that the, how did you put it? The gun ban lobby is smart. A lot of smart people over there. Why is this side, our side, not so smart? For instance, they say, oh, we have a gun violence out there. We have a gun violence problem out there. Tom, I would make the argument we don't have a gun violence problem. We have a criminal problem. We have a mental health problem. We have a morality problem. You admit the other side is right. Does that make or the other side is smart?
Right.
Why can't this side be smart? Why can't we say we don't have a gun violence problem? We have other issues that is not going to be solved by limiting law-abiding people from owning firearms.
Well, the problem is, well, we are smart, first of all, and we're saying the right things. But when the media won't cover it, when the media won't share the information, even though they have it, when we know, according to the FBI, murders are down by 50%. Crimes with guns are down 70%, according to the FBI. There is no epidemic of gun violence, but the media keeps repeating that phrase. The media keeps saying, well, there are more than 300 mass shootings a year. No, not according to the FBI. It's about 20, 24, same as it's been for the last number of years, and yet they keep parroting this. So we can be smart and we can say the right things, but if we can't get the megaphone, if we can't get it repeated out there, the message just doesn't get out.
Well, Tom, and that's why I'm so glad you're here. Tom Gresham, spokesman for the Second Amendment Foundation. Tom, please tell our audience how they could follow the work of the Second Amendment Foundation. And Tom, how can they follow you? How could they read the things that you write?
Absolutely. For the Second Amendment Foundation, it's very easy. SAF, or Second Amendment Foundation, SAF.org. And if you want to follow what I'm doing, everything we do is under the Gun Talk label. Look at guntalk.com, radio show, TV show, YouTube channels, everything else. Just look for Gun Talk. You'll find me.
All right, Tom Gresham, we want to thank you so much for being with us. Take care and God bless.
Thanks so much.
And don't go away. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be talking about human trafficking is the real border crisis. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
And we appreciate you staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. And if you would like to be a guest on our show, it's easy. Just send an email to me. It's rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com. That's rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com. I know it's long, but it's easy. It's just rick@conservativecommandosradioshow.com. And with that, Nasir, we do have our next guest with us. Please make him feel welcome.
Thank you, Rick. We have the Honorable John Hostettler, who is the Vice President for Federal Affairs for the States Trust at the Texas Public Policy Foundation. Congressman Hostettler also served in the U.S. House from 1995 to 2007, where he represented Indiana's 8th District. Since leaving Congress, Congressman Hostettler has launched a publishing company called Publius House, and he's authored 2 books. He's also founded the Constitution Institute, which holds seminars throughout Indiana teaching about the U.S. Constitution. Congressman Hostettler, welcome to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Good to be with you, Dr. Shaikh and Rick. Thank you for having me.
Well, great. We wanted to talk to you about the article that you wrote in the Washington Examiner entitled Human Trafficking is a Real Border Crisis. And you write here that it's a humanitarian problem which is at the root of this migration crisis as well. The violence in countries such as El Salvador, Guatemala, and Honduras has created a demand for human traffickers whose empty promises and exorbitant fees drive and direct the flow of migrants to the border. Sir, my question is, this has been a problem for a long period of time. Why haven't we as the United States taken care of this problem?
Well, one of the big reasons that we haven't in the recent years is that we have essentially a nexus of 2 substantial issues. And the first is, as you mentioned, as I wrote about, the humanitarian crisis in these various countries as a result of criminal violence that victimizes and plagues the societies of these various countries. And you add to that the broken asylum system that we have in the United States as a result of judges striking down various attempts by the Trump administration before some recent successes that has essentially fueled this and has invited, as I mentioned in my piece, has invited traffickers and smugglers to charge exorbitant fees and for individuals to pay these fees to come to the United States with the promise that if they simply make a claim for asylum, that they will be shortly released into the United States and then they will experience the American dream, you might say. But what's not being discussed significantly is the tragedy that ensues between the individuals being told that they'll have a piece of the American dream and the time they get here. And even after they get here, we know that many of these individuals, especially women and young women, are trafficked and victimized by the smugglers and by individuals who, even in the United States, use the trafficking and the smuggling for their heinous benefit. And so what's taking place is the promise of being released to the United States as a result of these false asylum claims. And so as the word has gotten around in the smuggling community and all across the world, quite honestly, at this point, that if you come to the United States and seek out a CBP officer and make a claim for asylum, or make a claim for asylum after you've been apprehended illegally crossing into the United States, then you'll be able to stay here. And that's what's fueled the crisis to this point.
Congressman, in your article, you also write that Representative Lance Gooden has introduced legislation that targets the worst of the many crimes at the borders of this child trafficking, and it's that children are being bought and sold like cattle to take advantage of the broken immigration system. And the reason is that by fraudulently claiming family ties. Now, his bill would require DNA testing for those claiming family ties and mandate prosecution for caught lying. Now, I was under the impression that they were doing this already to some point, but it was taking, in some instances, weeks and months. And I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but there's a company here in America, sir, which is called Identigene. And for $28.99, you can purchase a kit, send in a swab from the father, the mother, and the child, $119 lab fee, and within 2 days, you can get the results via phone, email, or by calling in. And I would just think that, in the United States, if we just set the private sector into motion to help us, I mean, could you imagine the number of companies? You know what that $119 fee would be down to if we could negotiate that through the government? I mean, these are the things that I think would just be, some problem-solving things that could immediately try to, de-escalate the situation. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, what you said at the outset is true. The CBP, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, has conducted some limited operations in this area, and as a result of the fact that on many occasions when CBP and ICE have conducted these DNA tests, once again in a very limited setting, they've found just egregious situations where a 2-year-old child or a 4-year-old child is sent by, in one case, a child was left with a young woman while the child's mother illegally entered the United States and was left by the mother so that the second woman could unlawfully enter the United States and use the child as a tool, basically, to get around the fact that she has come into the country illegally, and she can, with the child, she can be released into the United States. And so this has happened on many occasions, and the ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, has done this on a limited basis, but Representative Goodenville would make this policy and would require this of every family unit that would be coming into the United States, and would supply the resources necessary for this to be for every individual that comes in a family unit. And just as you mentioned, using the free market system to reduce the cost of these tests, and would be something, I'm sure, that would ultimately happen if this was done DHS wide and not in a limited context.
Sir, the other thing is that, President Trump and his administration, every time they've tried to put some type of a ruling or a law or a policy into effect, the left, and our friends on the other side of the aisle, they know they can't defeat it through the voting block, but they always know how to use judicial process and judicial review, and they go and they hunt and shop for a like-minded, judge that can, stymie, a presidential policy or a presidential directive. And thank God the Supreme Court cleared the way for this, for this policy, which had an injunction on it. What are your thoughts on the use of the left utilizing judicial, justices and judges out there to try to circumvent I would think, valid policies that the president has the right to enact in terms of claiming sovereignty over this nation.
Well, you bring up an excellent point and an issue that I personally have dealt with, not only in this issue of immigration reform, border security, but when I was in Congress for 12 years, I dealt with a runaway judiciary in all kinds of contexts. And you're exactly right. For decades, there has been social reengineering through the federal judiciary, and this is just one more instance where that has taken place. But you point out a bright spot, you might say, in that, for example, most recently, what's referred to as the interim final rule with regard to third country asylum cases is that if an individual presents themselves on the southern border at the port of entry or between the port of entry, entering illegally into the country, if they present themselves and they have not gone through the process of requesting asylum in a third country that is open to asylum claims, then they are remanded back to Mexico, and a district court in San Francisco, probably not surprisingly, tried to stop this. The Ninth Circuit reversed it, surprisingly, but realizing that ultimately, and the Supreme Court intervened and has put that original district court stay aside. So right now, we are winning in the courts at the moment, but it's not something that we can rest on our laurels about. But it seems like that the courts are turning our way to a limited extent with this asylum issue.
Here on the Conservative Commandos radio show, our guest is former Congressman John Hostettler. Congressman, we have to take a quick break while we do a little bit of business. Could you hold the line for us, please?
I sure can.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, Dr. Nasir Shaikh, and yours truly, Rick Trader. Don't go away. On the other side, we're going to pick up our conversation. Human trafficking is the real border crisis. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to the Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Once again, we want to welcome you back. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is the Doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh. And once again, for rebroadcast of our shows, listen to our radio show, our TV show, check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. So if you're not near one of our television or radio stations, you could always pick up our latest show. Our guest this segment is former Congressman John Hostettler. And by the way, he served the 8th District of Indiana. And I'm glad to say this. I'm very proud of this man, very proud of this, that when he was in Congress in the year 2005, he received a perfect rating, a 100% rating from the American Conservative Union. Congressman, I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you for the time that you served our country.
It was a blessing for me to do so, and I was honored to serve the people of Indiana. Thank you for that, Rick.
Well, we thank you. Congressman, human trafficking is the real border crisis, and you write right in here about the humanitarian problem. These people coming up from Central and South America, these people who are sexually assaulted, sexually trafficked. Women and girls are raped and are sold. I heard the figure is as high as 75% of the women that come across the border are sexually assaulted. I've heard that they know this is going to happen to them. That before they make this trip, they go and get birth control. Congressman, I cannot imagine what type of motive, what type of incentive these people have to come here that would put themselves through this. I can't imagine a man knowing that his wife or his daughter is going to be raped or sexually assaulted to come here. Congressman, I think the incentive is too great, and that we have to stop the incentive. And that you have in your article about President Trump building the border wall. That's great, but that's not going to be a cure-all. I think we need other things. I would, just the same as the president has used his authority to put tariffs on China, I think he should put tariffs on all money transactions going south of our border. I think that he should use an executive action to fine each employer who hires someone illegally, not $1,000 or $10,000, but $100,000 or $150,000 per incident for every person that they hire that comes here illegally. I would like to see anyone who sells or rents a harborage, a place for these people to stay. I would like them to be fined $100,000 or $150,000. I would like to see our side. Let it be known that it is their side, the left, the liberals, that's complacent, that's encouraging this to happen. and in doing so is allowing these terrible atrocities that is happening to these people, because I don't think, I would say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Congressman, the majority of these people that are crossing our border illegally are not doing it for political asylum. They're doing it for the promises of the American dream.
Well, you're exactly right, and there have been numerous articles, Rick, that have been written where interviews are done with individuals coming to the United States and being asked about their asylum claim, and especially recently, since 3 of the administration's initiatives, one referred to as Remain in Mexico, the other the interim final rule that I was talking about earlier, as well as these asylum cooperation agreements that the president has been able to get with Guatemala and El Salvador recently, where individuals, when they realize that their asylum claim is no longer going to be effective in getting here, they ultimately simply say, well, I actually just came for a better job and to make money so I could send back, to your point at the very beginning about remittances,
right.
I could send money back home. And so the truth comes out, and overwhelmingly, given the fact that almost 90% of asylum claims are deemed to be invalid, that they're coming here for the American dream. But unfortunately, the initial asylum claim opens the door for them. And so what the administration has done to address asylum, your point about a wall not solving the entire problem is correct, and the Trump administration understands that, and all of us that follow this closely understand that, and that's why what the administration has done with regard to asylum, and asylum specifically in these 3 areas, is, I believe, going to be very helpful in stopping this crisis. However, Congress has to step forward and enact asylum reform and other reform related to the border and migration, the migration crisis that's taking place. Congress has got to step forward, because if not, then if there should be a change in administrations in January of 2021, and everything that the Trump administration has done, these 3 things that I've been talking about, they'll go away, just as they were not in place whenever Donald Trump took the oath of office. They'll not be in place if a different philosophy occupies the Oval Office.
Oh, Congressman, I totally agree with you. And I say here, and I hope our audience is not tired of me saying it, as Ronald Reagan said, we were 1 generation away from losing our freedoms. I definitely think that we are down to one election away from losing our freedoms. God forbid, when the Democrats regain control of the House, the Senate, and the White House, this country as we know it today ceases to exist. And I also have to look at as you point out in your article, these people that do come here and seek asylum, they're giving court dates. 90% of them do not show up for their court date. I would like to see those people rounded up and get their day in court. I mean, but when you talk about Congress needs to do this and that, well, we don't have the Congress right now. And I think this is an urgent situation. And that since we don't have the Congress, I would love to see President Trump use, just like Barack Obama said, use his pen and his cell phone, executive orders to do something. Hey, I'm for that border wall. I talked about putting a tax on every dollar being sent south of our border. I'm all for using that money to build the wall, but it's going to take more than that, Congressman. I really do believe it's. Yeah, go ahead.
It is, and the president is doing everything within the law that exists now to do that. and unlike the idea of a pen and a phone that will be used to expand on the law, go outside the boundaries of the law, the Trump administration is doing everything it can within the law that exists today. However, once again, that will all change if there's a change at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in January, and so Congress has got to step forward, and individuals who understand that one party is not doing what it should do, not just to secure our borders, but to preserve the safety and the lives of these, especially women, young women who are risking everything to come to the United States because of this false notion of an asylum claim. And you know, it is a moral crisis whenever we can't come together to at least stop that.
Congressman, do you have time for one more question?
I sure do.
What about these people that we hear tell Americans that are going to Mexico, going to Honduras, Guatemala, and El Salvador, and actually organizing these people, educating them what to do and what to say when they get here to circumvent our laws? Can something be done to stop that? I mean, basically, I think they're enticing people to break the law, and they're giving these people the hope and the dream. And by doing that, these atrocities are happening. And the other side, I can't understand how the other side can live with themselves, knowing that by aiding and abetting this illegal immigration, that these murders, rapes, and robberies are happening to these people. Forget what's happening to the American people when these criminals get here. And there's a lot of criminals coming up with these people. But by aiding and abetting this to happen, they're allowing the trafficking. They're allowing the rapes and the murders. They're allowing the slavery. And that's what a lot of it is. Congressman, yes. I'll give you the last minute or so to answer that. Appreciate your time.
And they're not just allowing it, they're facilitating it. And I'm not a lawyer, Rick, so this will be limited, but there has to be something about conspiring to violate the laws of the United States, even if it happens in a foreign country. And I've got to think that at some point we set aside all political and titles, and we simply say, are you in a foreign country enticing and conspiring with foreign nationals to violate the laws of the United States? And if you are, then you are conspiring to do so. And that has got to be against the law.
I think so. In fact, Congressman, you know, I one time was flying my private airplane back to the United States from Canada. I filed an AVCUS flight plan, which means advising customs that I was entering the United States. That flight plan got sent to the wrong airport. So when I landed in Sweetgrass, Montana, and taxied my airplane over to the side of the runway, I was met by customs officials who said to me these things: who are you? You've entered the United States illegally. You're subject to a $10,000 fine and 5 years in jail. And I'm an American citizen, Congressman, coming back to my own home. Why isn't this being said to these people that are entering the country illegally? It's frustrating to me.
It is. And the administration is doing all they can. But to your point, this asylum that the smugglers and traffickers are preying upon and are using as a result of the good nature of the people of the United States who allow for individuals to claim and to realize asylum in the United States is only slightly worse than the people who refuse to do something about it in our own country.
I agree. Congressman John Hostettler, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on Conservative Commandos radio show. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on to talk about this issue because I think it's one of the 2 or 3 really major pressing issues in our country today. Congressman, please tell our audience how they could follow your work and read your articles, in particular this one.
Well, you can find us at statestrust.com or texaspolicy.com. I'm with States Trust, which is an initiative of the Texas Public Policy Foundation. So you can find us at statestrust.com, all one word, or texaspolicy.com.
Congressman John Hostettler, thank you so much again for joining us. Hope this is the first trip of many that you spend here with us at Conservative Commandos.
I look forward to it, Rick. It's been a blessing.
Thank you so much. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Dr. Wright, the doctor for the Republic, Dr. Nasir Shaikh. Yours truly, Rick Traders here. And don't you go away. Nasir and I will be back with more right after this break.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to buyyourtimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. Buyyourtimeshare.com. That's buyyourtimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Well, Nessa, that just about wraps it up for today's show. We've had a great show. It's always fun for me to have you along with me as my co-host. Nasir, please tell our audience how they could follow what you're doing when you're not here on Conservative Commandos.
Thank you, Rick. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure here to be with you. And yes, they can follow me. You know what? My email address, it is theNasirShaikhShow1@gmail.com. That's theNasirShaikhShow1@gmail.com, or Twitter, which is @Nasir Shaikh Show, @Nasir Shaikh Show, or follow me on Facebook at The Nasir Shaikh Show. That's The Nasir Shaikh Show. And we'd like to thank our guests that we had today. Our first guest was Cheryl Chumley, who's the online opinion editor for the Washington Times. She was talking to us about her article, Big Business Helps Keep America Free. We also want to thank Tom Gresham, who's a spokesperson for the Second Amendment Foundation. And great, talk in terms of the war against gun rights, has really gone nuclear, and the assault and attack that we're facing, not only every day on the First Amendment, but on the Second Amendment as well. And finally, we had the Honorable John Hostettler, who was a previous congressman from Indiana. He represented the 8th District out there from 1995 to 2007. And Congressman Hostettler was talking to us about his article, Human Trafficking is the Real Border Crisis, and that was in the Washington Examiner. So once again, 3 great guests that were lined up here today, Rick, once again, and great information for everybody out there.
Terrific information. But for right now, we are out of time. We got to run and we got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.